That's an interesting topic, calling, and I think it's really popular in marketplace ministry conversations and the theology of work. I think I might have a little bit of a different perspective on calling than some folks do. And number one, the calling is back to what I said originally. We are all called to be followers of Christ. We're called to be bearers of the image of God and facilitators, agents of His kingdom in the world that we're in. As a consequence of that, then, we are called to live our lives in such a way as to display the fruit of the Spirit, to display the characteristics of God's character. We're called to love people. We're called to be in unity with believers. We're called to do our jobs with tremendous skill and competence. In fact, I'll say the calling for every person on the planet, particularly with regard to work, is three things: character, competence, connection. Character meaning we reflect the character of God's kingdom. Competence, we do our job really, really well. And then connection is we love people, and people love to work with us because we're forgiving, we're loving, we challenge people in a healthy, appropriate fashion. We're relationally strong. So again, I believe every Christian is called to character, competence, connection. Now, what about specialty calling, right? Am I called to be a lawyer? Am I called to be a mailman? Am I called to be a doctor? Am I called to be, a stay-at-home mom? So I'm a little less convinced that God has specifically called people to a profession. And I do know that we're wired a certain way from birth, and that there are aptitudes that we're given from birth that would, mean that we'd be more comfortable doing this as opposed to doing that. And I think part of that is certainly to be taken into account for calling. But I go back in human history, and I think back in the history of God's people. And there are lots of people that, obviously God created everybody, but lots of people born in the history of the Bible who, they were not born in a time and place in history where they had any option to do much else than what their dad or their mom did. And I always wonder when we talk about calling and find your calling and do all these tests with regard to personality and aptitude and skills, how would that have played out in 1st century AD Palestine? How would that have played out in 3rd century Israel? So, and again, this is today, not then, and God has given us access to all kinds of fabulous tools. I'm just cautious about saying God called me to be a management consultant, or God called me to be a football coach. I think in many regards, I've chosen that for certain reasons, and I can choose to develop certain skills that I have. But I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, John, I am called to be a follower of Jesus and to do my work and to interact with my community with character, competence, and connection, no matter what I do.